Welcome to the John Sporting Goods Podcast. You're going to get expert insight and tips for fishing the Puget Sound, San Juan Islands, and tributaries. I'm your host, Connor Martinez, and owner of John Sporting Goods in Everett, Washington. Welcome to the podcast, and let's get fishing. What is going on, folks? This is Connor Martinez from John Sporting Goods down in Everett, Washington. We have a great podcast for you today. We're going to be talking about Puget Sound Lingcod and fishing with Livebait. I have my buddy John Kernigan of Seeking Limits Guide Service, and one of the best livebait fishermen I've ever fished with, so you're going to learn a ton from this guy today. And I think last year he killed 92 lingcod with his guest on his boat, so definitely has a good resume and has a ton of good information for you guys. First things first, we're going to talk about the rules for lingcod. You have to be in 120 feet of water or less if you're fishing for them. If you're going to kill one, it has to be 26 to 36 inches. You have to have barbless hooks because we will be releasing some that are short or long. And you have to have a descender that is rigged on the boat and ready to descend a rockfish. That's a must-have. You have to have it rigged. A lot of people just think you have to have it on your boat, but you actually have to have it rigged so you can easily grab it and drop the fish. Okay, first things first, we always start by catching our bait the day of. We're usually using 4 different styles of baits. We have flounders, we have pogies, which are little perch, we have herring, and then if you can get the holy grail, the sculpin, those are absolutely phenomenal baits for fishing for lingcod. So we're going to kind of run you through what we like to set up, what are the rigs that we like to use to catch these things, and let's start with the perch and the herring. What are we using for that, John?
Usually I just run a spinning rod and just a 2 or 3 rigged hook with some gulp.
The little sandworms.
Sandworms there. And you just get in there, you can fish them anywhere. I like to tend to keep my sand dabs about palm from the tip of my finger to my wrist. Mm-hmm. The reason why is that you get much bigger than that. You're just basically targeting bigger fish, and we're not looking for the oversized lingcod. We're looking for that 26 to 36 size limit. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty much the ideal size that I found over the years of fishing these is fingertip to wrist. Anything bigger than that, we just toss back. They're fun to catch. I mean, everybody in the boat's usually giggling and laughing like school kids because we're just having fun, just getting our bait ready to go for the fish that we're going to actually target.
Now, where are you targeting these flounders? Like, what are we looking for? Like a sandy flat bottom or edges of kelp, or what's the deal with that?
I tend to stick to the sandy spots. I like to fish anywhere between 20 and 60 feet of water. I don't anchor or nothing like that. I just put my kicker in reverse and I try to keep the stern into the current just so I can keep my rod straight down so the clients and stuff can actually feel the flounders tapping on it and set the hook. You're going to catch a lot of them. I tend to, my theory is with my clients, I tend to have 5 to 6 baits, at least flounders per client. Anything more than that, is typically I'm just going to end up either giving it to a friend out on the bar that once we're done fishing, or I'm just going to run them back into the shallows and I'm going to let them go for another day of catching them.
Okay.
So, but typically you don't need that many, any more than 5 to 6 per person on the boat. That's now, more than plenty.
There's kind of a secret to the flounders. Is it working the whole year, or are we primarily using this at a certain time of the year, or is it like you always catch flounders, you're always going to have a flounder down even if it's not catching?
Myself personally, I found that there's seasons throughout the month and a half of lingcod season, which primarily we're fishing out on Possession Bar.
Yep.
The flounders tend to work best in the first 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. After the 3 weeks, you'll start seeing the shiner perch will start coming in the shallows. You'll be catching them every once in a while you're flounder fishing. So that's when you know that it's time to start switching over to the shiner perch when they're starting to show up in the shallows real well for us.
Yeah.
And at that point, we go in there. I can see them on the screen. They look like a herring ball, but they're in the shallows. Those are all shiner perch.
Yeah.
And we break out the sabiki rods.
These are little sabikis. Gamakatsu makes these. They make 2 sizes, a size 4 and a 5. I usually use the bigger one so they don't swallow the hook, but must have for sure.
And then we'll switch over and we'll get those. I mean, those ones there, they're pretty hardy. You can put them in there and you rig them up with a single hook through the beak.
Yeah.
But I tend to still keep a flounder out. I always tend to have flounders in my bait, on my bait tank at all times throughout the whole season, because you'll have that day where everybody is running either shiner perch or whatever it is, and you'll want that one bait that'll go down, and it'll just be the one that fish wants. So it's always good to have at least one sand dab down.
Sure.
Typically, I'm running 4 to 6 rods. So when I've got a spread like that, it's real nice to have my baits spread out so I can find out what's going on with the lingcod. Because they do switch. Everybody seems to think that flounders is all season. It's not. These fish are just like any other species. They like to hit the bait that's coming on the bar.
Totally.
And you'll see them on the bar. You'll think they're big herring balls that are coming underneath your boat when you're watching your sonars and stuff while you're lingcod fishing. And that's not always herring. Those are shiner perch. There's piles and piles of shiner perch out there on the bar. And they're coming in there to spawn on the rock beds just like any other fish.
We fished later in the year last year. I want to say it was in June. The season's May 1st to June 15th. I think we fished the first week of the first week of June last year, and we had one flounder out the whole day, and it never once got bit. We were running perch. The perch were getting smacked. And then, like I said, if you can get a sculpins are just really hardy. They hold up really well. Same size, you don't want a giant sculpin, but from your fingertip to the end of your palm, that's about the right size. But I remember 2 years ago we were fishing and we had a sculpin and we caught, I think, 2 lingcod on it, and we let that thing go and it was still swimming at the end of the day. It was pretty incredible.
The reason why the sculpins work so well is that I found when I'm holding my hands, they vibrate. So they have a mechanism for when they feel threatened, a threatening environment, they'll kind of send off a vibration. So I think that's the reason why the lingcod actually grab it so quickly. If they're anywhere in the vicinity, they know. And then, because lingcod are a predator fish.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, they're scavengers.
That's the other nice part about the perch and the herring and the sculpin is they typically inhale that bait. A flounder, sometimes they'll sit there and play with it. They won't fully inhale it, especially if it's a larger one. But where we're using them small baits with a single 3/0 circle hook, typically you're pulling that hook out of its throat. I mean, he had engulfed it.
And the reason that is because typically when lingcod take their bait is they mess with it in their mouth because they're trying to get it down their throat head first. So that's the reason why they like to take it head first, and that's because you got spines on a lot of these predator fish that they're eating. Because I mean, you will come up with perch in their belly and things like that, or rockfish. They've got spines on them, so they tend to play with it in their mouth until they can get it down their throat.
Totally.
So that's one of the reasons why
interesting.
You wait on the hook sets on them.
You let them gobble it down. Your rod tip, especially you're using a 934 quick, which is a composite rod. It's 9'3", and that rod tip is buried in the water before we touch that rod. And you don't want to be handling the rod when they're monkeying with it. You want them to just sit there and grab it until that thing is like, it's almost peeling line.
So with my clients, I can tend to watch them. When the rod's there, and I can tell the difference between a lingcod taking and a rockfish. A rockfish hits pretty fast. The rod tip tends to bounce pretty quick. It's a real quick bounce. Lingcod is a real slow. So what I tend to do is have the clients reel on it just real slowly to bring it up off the bottom, and 2 or 3 turns, and just watch the rod bob. It'll just sit there and keep bobbing, and then reel a little bit more. I mean, we reel these fish sometimes 20, 30 feet off the bottom before they want to turn. So they're not letting it go. They're just messing with the bait in their mouths. And then once the rod tip actually goes into the water, that's when we tell the clients, go ahead and pull the rods out. You don't have to set the hook. They've already hooked themselves at that point. Start reeling and hold on. With that, I mean, it's one of those crazy things. I mean, last year I had a lingcod that we literally watched it play with the bait, and we reeled it all the way up to the surface. Never in the rod holder, all the way up to the surface, and I took it and I thumped the rod with my hand, and the fish opened his mouth and swam off.
That's crazy.
It was one of those things that they're just chewing on it. They don't want to let go. So I just wait till the rod buckles over. That's the biggest thing with it. Everybody gets impatient and they want, as soon as they feel it, they want to set the hook. That's you're going to miss a big percentage of your fish.
Yeah, you're
pulling the hooks away from them.
Pulling the hooks right out of their mouth. Totally.
So, I mean, just let them chew on it. I mean, if it's meant to be, you're going to get it. If it's not, well, you're going to keep on drifting. We're going to hook more. Yeah. So it's one of those that, it's just have patience when you're playing with them. Yeah. I mean, I watched the lingcod with live bait come up 10 feet off the bottom to take the stuff on my sonars and my screens that I'm watching. Sure. I can watch the fish come up 10 feet and grab bait. So
that's wild.
That's one of the things that's great about having really nice electronics on your boat. Yeah. That's a key part to success with a lot of the stuff out 100%. There is having good electronics, knowing where you're fishing at, what you're fishing on.
Yeah, what you're fishing over. That's what we were talking about that before the podcast. I've never been on a boat that has electronics like yours as far as what the bottom looks like. I mean, when we're fishing the shipwreck, we see the whole shipwreck. We can pick what side of the shipwreck we're going to drift down. We know when we're off the shipwreck. I mean, it's pretty incredible. And I would say that's what sets you apart from a lot of dudes. You know what side of the boat, the shipwreck you're fishing, you know what depth we need to be in, you know which way we're drifting. And like we were saying, boat control is like 90% of the game for lingcod.
90% of the game. So with the boat control, I mean, there's realistically 3 ways of fishing lingcod out on the possession bar. Mm-hmm. One is anchoring, which they do on the west bar on the Skagit Head side. That's one way of doing it. I'm not a big fan of anchoring because what happens is anchors get hung up and we end up getting ropes out on the bottom. We get tangled up with the ropes in our gear and we're end up breaking off gear. Yeah.
And there's way less people that are anchoring than are drifting.
Or you've got where you back troll with the stern into the current. Mm-hmm. That's how I learned to do it for many years. It's very productive. Yeah. It's a lot of boat control though. I mean, you're working. You're really working when you're doing it that way. And then the third way is doing it bow into the current. Mm-hmm. You can use your main or your kicker. Mm-hmm. It's still a little bit harder because you're trying to keep that in there. I run a bow mount on my boat, so it's in autopilot the whole time. Yeah. I don't spot lock. I only spot lock when I'm setting up with my clients and I'm going to drop 5-6 rods in one time. Yeah. That way I don't get blown over the holes. Yeah. Before I get everything set.
You get everything set and then make your drift.
Yeah. You make that drift. And there's been times where we're spot locked up because I know I'm above the spot that I want to drift, and I look over and a client's already got a lingcod on. Yeah. Just by the time we're sitting, there's lingcods spread out throughout that whole bar. Yeah. I mean, you got your primary areas. You've got shipwreck, Skagit Head. Yep. You've got out there in the horseshoe area. There's spots out there. Mm-hmm. So I mean, you got lots of spots to fish on the bar. Yeah. The heaviest spots are the Skagit Head and the shipwreck. The shipwreck,
for sure.
Those are the 2 biggest spots, but don't be afraid to meander out on the bar and just float across it and learn all the little spots. And when you hit a fish, when you hit a lingcod, waypoint it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because these fish are spawning. Mm-hmm. This is a spawning bar at this time. So what happens is over the years, those fish tend to come back to the same spawning grounds, the same area spawning. So once you get multiple spots set up in your GPS, you can go and get set up above them and you'll get more efficient because the fish will either be there or they're not. If they're not there, you move to your next spot. Right. You can bounce all around that bar.
Yeah, I have the Garmin boating app and you can like set your shades and colors for different depths. And if you look at possession bar, there's so many holes, big holes. There's all sorts of little humps out there. There's 1 or 2 rock piles that I can think off the top of my head, but there's not just those 2, Skagit Head and the shipwreck aren't the only 2 spots guys are catching lingcod. No, I mean, you'll see guys spread out on the whole bar, and it even happened to us last year when we were fishing the shipwreck. We fished it for probably the first half of the tide. Nothing was happening. So we just started bouncing from these holes and ended up picking up a couple more lingcod. So, yeah, don't be glued to one spot. You could definitely venture out and find holes, find little rock piles and little humps to fish, and those fish will be sitting on them.
Oh, yeah.
So the important part about using live bait is keeping these things alive. Yes. What's the best way to do that?
Me personally, I have a bait tank that I built on my boat. It's made out of a cooler. I'm running 350 gallons an hour through my system. The biggest mistake most people do is they get their bait, they don't change their water out enough in their buckets or with their aerators. The water gets warm and the sand dabs will start to die. Once they start to die, the bait, you'll get some lingcod, but the fresher you can keep your bait and lively that you can keep your bait, the odds are the more lingcod you're going to get.
100%.
They like that bait that's moving around down there.
Yeah. For sure.
So the biggest thing with that is what we're talking about in boat control is that one of the things I found is that a lot of people make mistakes is their speed. So you got to learn how to match your speed to your weight. We run weights from 2 ounce to 8 ounce. I don't go anything past 8 ounces. That's just, at that point, the currents are running too hard for what I want to fish. So I go try to find some place that's got a little bit softer current and shallower or something like that.
And those fish don't want to be feeding in that kind of current anyways.
Nope. Right when the tide turns, at slack tide, you got to troll. You'll see me out there at slack tides. I'm actually trolling. And then once the tide starts to move, there's that hour to 2 hours in the start of the tide where it's not pounding, but it's got enough movement. Those fish are out there on the bar, actively moving around, looking for food. And then once the current gets going hard enough, those fish will go hunker down in a hole or into the structure, and they just go lay in there until at that point. They won't come out unless you're like right on top of them.
Right. And that magic number for the current, if I'm not mistaken, is 1 mile an hour to 1.5. That's typically kind of what we're looking for.
Typically.
Yeah, you're not cooking over these spots, but you're moving enough where you're presenting your bait to multiple fish, and they have time to come out and grab it. And that's what's happening when that hour to 2 hours after the tide, there's bait that's getting washed past that, let's just say the shipwreck. It's getting washed down the shipwreck, and those fish have a chance to come out and grab whatever bait they want.
Yeah, they're out milling around. They're 40 yards from the shipwreck, sometimes 50. They're just out milling around, grabbing. They're just chewing. They want to feed. So they're going in there because they're typically all males. They're protecting the nest. Once the females come up and they lay their eggs, the males are the protector. The females go back down to the deeper water. And the males are the ones that are protecting our nest. So that's why all these fish that we're seeing are majority males that we're catching.
The big ones are usually females.
Anything from typically, I've gotten some 35s that have been female, but typically anything that's over that 36 is going to be female. And we get those. I probably get half dozen plus a year that are over 36, maybe more. Even though these fish are super hardy, we still got to handle them with care.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Everybody wants to get pictures with them. I get my clients are the same way. I want to get pictures with them. Typically, I tend to hold the big fish like that because I don't want somebody dropping the fish. I want to be able to set the fish back in the water and watch her swim away. That's our future right there.
Totally.
So 100%. Watching people hold them up by the gill,
don't do that.
The gill plates, please don't do that. Handle them with care underneath. And hold them up by the head underneath and kind of stretch them out and
keep them on the water side of the gunnel too. Don't bring them in the boat. You just lift them up, put them back in the water.
Super simple. Handle them with care.
Yeah.
We want this. I mean, this fishery is actually getting strong again. Mm-hmm. We had plenty of years where this fishery was really weak.
Yeah.
It's now becoming a very popular fishery again. We've got an abundant amount of lingcod out there. Mm-hmm. But, you know, there's many spots in the Puget Sound to fish for them. Yep. I mean, just Possession's not the only one. We got spots in the South Sound.
Hat Island. Foulweather Bluff, Double Bluff. There's all sorts of spots, guys.
Yeah, there's lots of spots. I mean, if there's days I'll go out and just explore. I mean, just because I want to find new lingcod spots. I watch. I look at my maps. Mm-hmm. I run Garmin in my boat. So I run the Navionics in mine.
It's
and
the best.
I'll go through because I have it on my phone. And I'll sit at home at time and I just open up my maps and I'll sit there and look at the bottoms.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking for very specific like structures and depths, and they can hold in a small area. You may only have 40 or 50 yards to fish it, but they can have an abundant amount of lingcod sitting in there because nobody's ever fishing it because they don't know that those holes are there.
Right.
So
Right.
that's where my electronics come in and my mapping systems come in, is that
Totally.
I do a lot of studying of my maps.
Yeah. Well, it's important.
So I know what I'm fishing.
The other crazy part about possession bars is we don't catch a lot of undersized lingcod. I mean,
Not until late in the season.
yeah, once you get picked through, that
later.
first month though is a lot of them are either that 26 to 36. I don't know how it works, but they're typically in that slot limit, or you'll get one that's oversized. But not a lot of little ones.
Typically early in the season, majority of the fish I catch are all in the slot size.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's great to know that we're going to get them.
Yeah.
A 26-inch fish, lingcod, can feel like a fish that's 36 inches or bigger. I've had days where I'm like, okay, that's going to be a big one. To come up going,
Yeah.
that one fought pretty hard for its size. I mean,
Yeah.
they're just a hard-fighting fish.
Yeah, they're fun.
For their size. Don't recommend sticking your fingers in their mouth ever.
No.
Because they've got big teeth on them.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's great, and I mean, people should come out and try it.
Yeah.
And have fun.
The best eaten fish that I think personally out of the Puget Sound is a lingcod.
I personally think that lingcod are better than halibut.
Yeah.
So
I love
mean,
'em.
that's my fish of choice to eat is lingcod.
Yeah.
So that's what I stock my freezer with.
Sure.
I'm not a fan of salmon, so
Yeah.
we keep some, but my freezer's always got lingcod in it throughout the year, so
Yeah.
we can eat whenever we want, have some lingcod.
Totally. Okay. Now we got the bait situation figured out. Let's talk about your rod. Like I said, it's a 934. It's a composite rod. It's got a nice soft tip, so when these fish are grabbing our bait, they're not feeling tension right away, so they're more inclined to sit there and chew and give us an opportunity to hook them.
Yeah.
You got a Dakota 400. It looks like you have
50-pound braid.
50-pound braid on there.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the business end.
So on this one here, you want to run a slider.
Yeah.
And the reason why that is that you want your baits to be able to move around when you're down there. You don't want the weight holding the bait from swimming around naturally. So if the weight's down there, it can actually pull it through there, and you can watch your tips. I can watch the flounder swim around on my rod tips. That's the reason why we run soft tips.
Yeah.
From that, I run a bead chain. I run a dual lock on it.
Yeah.
So people are going to think this is an interesting setup and how I do this. My weights, like we said, we run from 2 to 8 ounces. I run rubber bands, a size 10 rubber band off of my droppers.
Yeah.
And the reason why we do that out there is, one, if my weight gets hung up on the bottom, I'm going to pop my weight off.
Totally.
I would rather lose my weight than losing my whole setup and having to retie for a customer in the boat.
For sure.
So I have a whole lead tray that's set up. All my weights have rubber bands already pre on them. So when they come up, if we snap the weight off, I just click in another weight and go.
Easy.
It's real easy. It's real quick.
Yeah.
The main thing with us is just keeping the gear in the water.
Yeah.
If gear's not in the water, you're not fishing. So
Plus, when that lingcod grabs your bait, it can pull line through here. So there's not any resistance on this when he's grabbing the weight. Say you're using a banana sinker. If he picks up your bait, he's going to immediately feel the weight.
You can feel the weight.
Right. So the Slido's important for that reason.
Yeah.
You know.
That gets back to the point where we said, I've reeled the fish all the way up to the boat with never even had a hook in it.
Yeah.
Never pulled, never buckled the rod. We smacked the rod and they just let go.
Sure.
It's just having everything freely, so these things can just move around. They're not feeling the drag of the weight behind it. They'll feel the weight of the weight on the line,
right?
But it still slides depending on what angle you got it on. It's always moving.
Yeah, there's not as much resistance for him, for sure.
That way, and if it gets hung up on the bottom, is that I can just snap
your rubber band and get going.
The rubber band off, and they bring it up. My bait's still on there. My sand dabs, whatever bait's on there. I just make sure that we haven't pulled the hook out of the bait at all, and then click in another weight, and we send it right back down.
Okay.
With that,
let's talk about our leader.
The leader.
There's 2 different leaders we're going to use, by the way.
Yeah, I run Big Rivers.
Great hook.
3/0, 4/0, 4/0, 5/0, or 5/0, 6/0, depending on the time of year or what I feel like tying.
Yeah.
I run 30 to 40 pound leaders.
Yep.
Majority of the time, I run 30.
Yeah.
And the reason that is that when we get the lingcod on, these fish, when you start bringing them up, they want to go back to the bottom. And with my rods, We don't let the fish run.
No.
We when the lingcod decides to run back to the bottom, I ask my clients to put their thumbs on the spool and stop that fish. If there's only been a few times I've been on the bar that I've had fish that actually can break the 30-pound leader in a lingcod. It'll stop them and get it turned. And then if I do get my leaders hung up on the bottom, because we are running sand dabs. Sand dabs are probably the worst ones of them all. Yeah. Because they want to be there, bottom fish. Sure. They want to be on that bottom, so they'll swim back down there. They'll swim into whatever structure. Yeah. And I want to be able to break my leader off and not break off my swivels. Sure. That way I can click them back on. So another thing with mine, so if I even do break a leader off, all my leaders are pre-tied. Yeah. I'm running the 2 big rivers. I like big rivers. Back.
You know, you got 4+ fingers in between that hook.
Yeah, I run a big gap because, you know, by the time you place that in there with the size from my finger to my wrist, I want this trailer hook down there by the tail. Yeah, that's perfect. Because I want that in their mouth in case they let go or they're going to get a hook in there.
Or even if we're using a big sculpin, you could probably run your double hook rig.
You could. If I do, and if that's all of a sudden I want to do that, I can either just cut my trailer hook off and then go that route.
Sure.
All my gear is a click and go. Yeah. I'm not into tying knots when I'm out there. No, either I have loops on my gear so I can put them right on my dual locks. Nice. That way I can switch it in and out real quick. Sure. I tie all my gear. My gear is all tied up before we even fish. The only time is that every once in a while I got to tie a main up because we get it hung up in something that I end up breaking the main line. Sure. Which is going to happen. We're going to do that. But majority of the time I either snap my rubber band off and the weight off, and I just have to put another weight on there.
Now, for your smaller herring, pogie, smaller sculpins.
Smaller sculpins.
Oh, how long's your leader? Are you doing 5 feet, 4 or 5 feet? Yeah.
Yeah, 4 or 5 feet.
Want them to have room to swim away from that weight.
Yeah, I want them to swim away from my weight. Yeah. Same thing. All my gears, same thing. Sometimes I have swivels tied in there. When I'm running certain baits like herring and other stuff like that, I like to have a swivel on the end of it. The more swivels I can have, the freer my line's going to spin around or do whatever. And so I just tend to do it so my stuff is super easy, super quick. Sure. Tying when you're on the water, you're losing time for fishing. Totally. So you want to keep things simple. Yeah. And simple is the best way to do it. If it's all pre-tied, ready to go, you just make it easy and keep on fishing.
I agree. And then the last step to when we're rigging these is probably one of these right here. Yeah. The bait button.
So the bait buttons we typically use when we're fishing herring, pogies, and the sculpins. Yeah. On sand dabs, you don't have to worry about it as much because you're running 2 hooks. You're running one through the back of the hook, through the back. The back hook's already through the body, coming through the dorsal, and then trailing down underneath the belly by its tail. Right. But on pogies and herring, you want to make sure that we put that on there because we are running barbless. Yeah. I run circle.
Yeah, me too.
The circle hooks just so because it gives me something so the bait doesn't pull off as quick. But to help that out, we go ahead and put a bait button on there, right, just above it because it's rubber and it gives it resistance so that the bait just can't swim off the hook. Yeah, it'll stay on there longer. And the nice thing is that even if you lose your bait, the bait button's still on there. Yeah. It's not uncommon to see me take these off. When I'm doing things, I'll stick it in my teeth, whatever. Yeah. Because I just go ahead and I just put it right back on myself.
Yeah, you can reuse them.
You can reuse them. You don't have to use a brand new one every time. Right. I usually have 4 or 5 of these laying around in my boat because at the time I need one, I'm not looking for one. So I usually have them laying all over in the boat. Yep. They're great to have. They keep my bait on. I know for sure that I'm not worried about my bait swimming off my hooks.
For sure.
With that. So when we get into that though, depths. Yeah. So with my rods, I'm running, as we talked about, I'm running a super soft rod tip, and that's because I want the fish to actually pull on my gear. I don't want them to feel the resistance of the rod. If you're running too heavy of a rod and they can feel that, their odds are they're going to let go faster. Yeah. So you run the super soft rods that they'll manage to hold on longer.
For sure.
And when you do that, my goal is that I try to keep my bait anywhere between 3 and 5 feet off the bottom. Yeah. The lingcod will come up all the way to 10 feet as far as I've seen them chase it up to grab the bait. Because on my screens, I can watch people's baits.
Yeah.
I watch their gear. It's all set up so I can actually see the depths of their fish, and I know when they're too far off the bottom, I have them re-drop down, find the bottom, and bring it up 3 turns.
Yeah.
With that, I've figured out what my distance is measured out for 3 turns to my length of leaders to how far I'm off the bottom. I like to keep my bait about 1 foot off the bottom.
Yeah.
Even though my weight's 5 feet off the bottom.
Yeah, but he's got room to swim with his leader.
But he's got room with that leader
Yeah.
to swim. If your weight is hitting the bottom,
You need to get it up.
you need to get it up off the bottom.
Yeah, for sure.
You're not doing yourself any justice by having your weight on the bottom.
No.
You want to get it up and let that bait just swim around below that weight.
Right.
That way, when they do come up off the bottom, you can see the rod load.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing, is that people don't see them. And
For sure.
that's that with that. And the other thing is keeping your bait straight up and down.
Yeah.
So weight size determines my currents,
Yeah.
what bait I'm running. If I'm running pogies or herring, I can get away with a lighter weight because they're smaller. They're going to move around pretty quick, so they don't need to have any kind of weight to help keeping it straight down. So when I'm running sand dabs, I tend to be running the 6 and 8 ounce weights,
Right.
because I want that weight to keep straight down, because the sand dab will just swim wherever it wants. And what
Yeah.
happens with 5 and 6 rods in my boat,
Yeah, that's a nightmare.
if you get your angles wrong, they're swimming into the other rods. The rods are getting tangled up, and nobody's fishing.
Right.
So the biggest thing is just basically keeping that gear straight up and down. That's what's going to determine what weight you're going to do and your speed that you're trolling. So if you're wanting to troll faster and your bait's going up from you, it means you're going too fast, and either you got to lighten up your lead or you got to let up.
Yeah.
So basically, that's what I do is when I go spot lock up in the top of the holes, I'm looking when I first drop what my angles are, when I'm sitting still, so I know when I start backing down, I'm watching all those lines and making sure that they stay straight up and down. Typically, it's one rod I'm only watching. I'm watching my back rod in my back corner. Because if I keep that rod straight up and down, every rod is in the boat is going to stay the same.
Yeah.
So I only need to pay attention to one rod for most of the time, even though I'm watching everybody's poles.
Yeah.
Because I'm constantly scanning. It's not uncommon. People, my rods are in rod holders. You can hold them. You'll miss more fish.
Yeah, put it in the rod holder, 100%. Yeah.
I found that the rod holders will up the percentage for people actually catching the fish.
I think so too.
And that, like I said, lingcod are really interesting. They can feel the vibrations and stuff through your lines and everything.
I agree.
else.
I was just going to say, when you grab that rod, that lingcod knows that you just grabbed that rod.
We've had many a times where we've watched the rod start to bounce, grab it, and there's nothing there.
Yeah.
Because he felt it come out of the rod holder, and he's going to spit it.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why we have the clients. I mean, you'll hear me, wait, and they're like, can I get it? And like, wait, and then all of a sudden that rod tips in the water, and said, now you go ahead and take it out, and they don't have to set the hooks, just play with the fish.
Yeah, crank it.
Because they've already hooked themselves.
Yeah. The thing that I like you said is even, when that lingcod's playing with your bait, if you slowly reel and that fish is starting to get pulled away from that lingcod, I swear that kind of,
sometimes
that'll create a bite, and that's happened to me a lot. Where he's playing with it, you're just slowly starting to reel, and your rod's just loading up, and then it just buries, and you got him. Yeah,
yeah. That's the fun part. I mean,
totally. You get to play with them for sure.
You get to play with them. I mean, every once in a great while, you'll find me holding the rod just as I get bored or whatever, and or I'm throwing a plastic on there, and I'm jigging in the back of the boat while everybody else is playing with live bait.
Right.
But typically, 99% of the time, my rods are always in rod holders.
Yep.
That gives me so much more because it lets me know what my gear's doing.
Yeah.
Because people are always constantly moving. They're lifting the rods up and down. They're pulling it out of the zones. How I've got mine all measured out with knowing how many turns my reel is at 3 turns to where my bait's sitting.
Yeah.
Is that I know that bait's in that strike zone at all times.
Right.
That's the key thing, is keeping it in the strike zones.
Exactly.
And it's just fun.
Absolutely.
And then it's not uncommon if you've got your gear set really well and you know what you're doing out there and you get it dialed in, it's not uncommon to see 2, 3, 4 lingcod at one time on the boat. Last year, I think the max I had 5 on at one time.
That's crazy.
And so it's just one of those things because they're schooling fish. They're all together.
Yeah.
I've talked to the divers out there,
Yeah.
and they say they're swimming all over the bottoms. It's not just a lingcod here and a lingcod there. There's multiple lingcods swimming around. So when you get one, there's typically more
More of them in there.
And then with that being said, so like you're going to find the rockfish move in later in the season.
Okay.
Rockfish early on, the first few weeks, you're not going to see a lot of rockfish. There's some there. But later as the season starts to go on, you're going to see the rockfish move in on the piles. So the biggest thing I see people do is they just keep staying on the same drift with the rockfish, and they keep hitting rockfish, and they're like, man, it's rockfish after rockfish. So over the course of the last couple of years, I've studied that and watched what's going on, and the lingcod won't compete with the rockfish. So once you start hitting rockfish,
Time to move. Yep.
Move over 30, 40 yards.
Yeah.
You're away from the rockfish, and you'll start picking lingcod up again. The lingcod do not compete with the rockfish because the rockfish are so aggressive.
Yeah.
And the rockfish, as you're dropping pogies down or herring down, it won't even get to the bottom. They'll stop it before it gets to the bottom. So when they're in there that thick, you're just going to go through a lot of bait.
Yeah.
And you're just going to end up releasing rockfish after rockfish, and you're using your descender rods if you have to. And it's just you're not fishing for the targeted fish. They're fun to catch.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some 10-pound rockfish out there. We've gotten some big fish out there over the years now. But as soon as I start hitting rockfish, I'm out.
Yeah.
I move. I go find another spot because I've learned over the course of the time that I'm fishing these fish and watching what I do and keeping track of what's going on, and that I just found that if I'm hitting rockfish, it's time for me to move out. And I'll go find someplace else for these fish.
For sure.
Because the rockfish are super aggressive.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I think we covered everything. I can't think of anything else. Thank you guys for joining. If you want to get a hold of John Kernigan, it's Seeking Limits Guide Service. He's got social media. You can get a hold of him there. Find his number on there. I highly recommend if you're struggling lingcod fishing, go with the guy and see how it's done. You'll have a good time, and you will see how the master does it. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. For more hot tips, live and on-the-water videos, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And don't forget to stop by the shop on Broadway in Everett to get all your local fishing gear.